Do you have a child you suspect might be using drugs, or you know they're using drugs? They don't usually announce their drug use or addiction, but there are signs that are fairly consistent to help you if you're not certain about it. Do they frequently come in late and go straight to their room? It's a way to avoid your seeing them while intoxicated. Has there been a drop in school performance that has no other explanation? Has there been a failure to show up at school or family activities that were scheduled? Have you searched their room or family garbage cans outside and found any evidence of drugs or associated objects? Has your child suddenly changed their usual group of friends or physical appearance? Do you confirm with others that your child was actually at an activity that he claims to have attended? Lying about where they are is a strong sign of drug use. Has there been a change in personal hygiene or concern for physical appearance? Has there been a change in overall attitude, difficult, sulky? Has your child recently been out of money a lot? Or have you been missing money? Do you count your money before you set down your wallet or purse where others have access to it, and then count it again the next day? If any of this is happening, or if your investigations are showing any of these signs, there is reason to do more of the investigating I just mentioned. Drugs can become addictive after a single use, followed by a spiral that is unimaginable. Kids don't plan on an innocent use to end in a fatal driving accident, for example, but it happens all the time. Once you learn that your child is using drugs, what would you give to change their life? Once you learn that your child is dead from an overdose or a car accident, what would you give to go back and change things? I'm not here to frighten you. I'm here to tell you that there is a solution. And we're not talking about controlling or minimizing the symptoms. That's not enough. We're talking about a real transformation where your child becomes happy, fulfilled, responsible, and, well, a human being again. In most cases, what you get is a child much happier than they were before the drug use. Welcome to the answers you've been hoping for. For a long time now, you've been looking for ways to help your child, and I greatly admire what you're doing right now because you're looking for answers. You're trying to love and help your child, which is way more than most parents do. And finally, you're in the right place. It's like you've been paddling around in the middle of the ocean, desperately looking for help, and now, almost unbelievably, it's here. This is the ship you've been looking for. Now, how could I possibly make such an extravagant promise? Because I know how to teach parents how to help their children to become happy and therefore have no need to use drugs. What I teach has been used by uncounted thousands of parents, and it works consistently. I'm not trying to sell you something here that we're going to do. You don't have to wait. You get to see it right now. The training begins right now. In the next few seconds, I'll be teaching you things about your children and yourselves that you've never known. What a relief to know that right now you're exactly where you've wanted to be. You can learn what you need to learn. Finally, you can feel encouraged. You can feel hope. You can help your child. And I'm going to help you do that. You wouldn't be here unless two things were true. One, you have a child who uses drugs, or you suspect might be. And two, you care enough to do something about it. I know you've tried to change things. Maybe counseling, maybe medication, certainly the things you've learned in books, programs. You've talked to your child a lot. You've talked to other people. You've done a ton of worrying. But your child still uses drugs. And you're frustrated and tired. You've been looking for something that works, dying to find it, and here it is. Principles that have proven to work hundreds of thousands of times all over the world. If parents are thoroughly committed to learning and practicing what I'm going to share with you, predictably, I see children lose their need to use. Drugs never happen without other emotional problems, ever. And instead, children become happy. Even after everything else has failed, you become pretty happy too. It is not hopeless. I'm here to help you, and I'll be using the insight and experience of counseling with thousands of parents, writing 20 books and endless articles on the subject, as well as appearing on 1,600 radio and television shows and presenting seminars all around the world, and more. You are about to change the world around you, and you don't have to do it alone, which is miserable and frustrating. You've already proven that with your own experience. So now the question that has to be on your mind: what am I going to teach you that you don't already know? What am I going to say that you haven't already read or heard somewhere? This is going to be revolutionary for you to hear. So slow down your brain and listen with your soul. What does a child need more than anything else? We don't ask that question enough. After food, water, and air, the answer is obvious, and yet we keep missing it over and over. To see the answer more easily, let's start with an infant. When an infant cries, other than from obvious physical pain, what does he want? You already know, intuitively, because you just pick him up. You're pretty smart. You already know that every child wants to feel cared for. Every child wants to feel loved. Picking them up and holding them is just a demonstration of that. And if you're genuine in caring about them, they feel it. But infants are relatively easy to love. They smile and melt your heart and make cute little noises, laugh in ways that we never hear anywhere else. They're adorable. But then they get older, and they learn to spill things and make messes and ferociously say no when you tell them what to do, and resist you and scream in their car seat and fight with their siblings and refuse to listen and say ugly and hateful things to you and other people. And sometimes they use drugs to eliminate their pain. They learn quite a list of behaviors that makes them a lot harder to love. And when that happens, we really don't know what to do. Usually we try to control their behavior, and we might even temporarily succeed, but it doesn't last. And we end up with kids who are still unhappy and using drugs. We're not so happy either. Let me say this another way. If our children become more difficult to love as their behavior changes, that proves that we don't know how to love them unconditionally. If we loved them unconditionally, we'd love them no matter what. But if loving them becomes more difficult when they're difficult, whining, arguing, fighting, withdrawing, using drugs, our love is conditional. Unconditional love, or what I call real love, means caring about another person without wanting anything from them in return. But we do expect something in return for loving our children. Respect, cooperation, gratitude, and a certain level of reasonable behavior, which would not include using drugs behind your back. Now, more about unconditional love. That kind of love would mean that our love would not be affected by what they do. That's what unconditional love means. But we really don't know how to do that. How do I know? We prove it every time we become angry or disappointed or impatient or irritated at them. Our anger and disappointment and frustration are undeniable proof that our love is not unconditional. Deep inside, you know that what I'm saying is true, but let me demonstrate further. When other people are angry at you, do you like it? Like, no, you don't. Not ever. Nobody does. When other people are angry at us, or when we're angry at other people, we're all saying, look at what you did to me, or failed to do for me. When we're angry, we are so focused on ourselves, me. And in that moment, other people, notably our children, hear only 4 words: I don't love you. When we're angry, we're far too occupied with ourselves to unconditionally love anybody. I repeat, when we are angry at another person, including our child, they hear only, I don't love you. I promise you that this is true. And no, I know that we don't mean to say that, but what else could people hear when our words, tone, and behavior are screaming, me? I don't love you is what you hear and feel when people are angry at you. Think about that, honestly. And it's what our children hear and feel when we're angry at them. Again, we do not mean to do this. We do not mean to hurt our children. Ridiculous. But it was inevitable because we were not loved unconditionally, which means being consistently loved without disappointment or anger, loved freely without conditions. So how could we possibly have learned how to unconditionally love our own children? Impossible. There's nobody to blame. Our ignorance of real love simply perpetuated over generations. We don't know how to love unconditionally because we've never seen it or felt it with any consistency. For emphasis, I'm going to say all of this in a slightly different way. When children use drugs, it is always a reaction to the pain of them not feeling loved unconditionally. Loved with no disappointment, irritation, frustration, or anger. Now, this could sound discouraging, even bleak. Overall, it is bleak. Look at the world, at the utter obsession with things that are distractions from our pain, from our not feeling loved, like endless entertainment, addiction to electronics, anger, controlling people, drugs, alcohol, sex, and on and on. There is the proof that overall we do not know how to love people unconditionally. If we did, and I speak here with vast experience, all of these behaviors would not exist. I've been teaching unconditional love now for so many years to so many parents that I can tell you this with complete certainty. When a child truly feels loved unconditionally, he or she does not use drugs. They don't. Instead, they're happy and responsible and all those qualities you wish they had. With sufficient love, there is simply no need to use drugs. Genuinely happy people just don't need to medicate their pain with drugs, period, full stop. It seems almost like this statement is just far too broad, like it's just too much, too simplistic. It's not. So that is what I'll be teaching you. How to love your children unconditionally, which then gives them, finally, a reason to listen to you, well, and to talk to you. How many times have you wondered why a child isn't hearing what you're saying? How come that child never listens? Or how come that child never talks to me? There's an answer, and here it is. Because when you're irritated, your child hears only, I don't love you. And that is so devastating that he or she hears none of the rest of the content of what you say. If you love them unconditionally, they can hear you, what you're really saying, because they're not distracted by their fear, not blinded and deafened by the I don't love you message. Then it becomes possible for you to teach them anything, like how to be loving and responsible themselves. And if they have that powerful trifecta, if they feel loved and they are loving and responsible, they are guaranteed to be happy, which is the ultimate goal for any parent or, frankly, any person. Your children can learn that being happy feels way better than the sensation of being intoxicated. And then they will choose happy. Take my hand and we'll talk about what you can do and how I will support you. It will almost be like starting over as a parent. You're going to learn how to be a real parent. And your child will learn the lessons of life that will benefit him or her for the rest of their lives. If you implement what you learn here, and if you do it consistently, you simply will not believe the differences you will see in your child, and in you, and in your family. Imagine it. No more drugs, or lying, or withdrawal from the family, or loss of interest in everything. No more tension in the family. It's astonishing to see and to feel. Our children are not defective. They're not bad. We're not bad. We just have not known how to love and teach them. What we're doing with our kids is not working. That's obvious. Loving and teaching them does. Rarely is it too late to change whatever unproductive behaviors you're dealing with. Not if you're really willing to learn and to apply these principles to the interactions with your child. I can promise you, learning how to be a parent, a real parent, is worth it. We're about to learn how to eliminate the behaviors in your children that are hurting them and making you crazy. Really. I make you another promise. Learning to be a loving, effective parent is easier than everything else you've done as a parent so far. We're really going to get into this. This is not a casual effort. We're not looking to make your children more manageable. That's not even close to being enough. Our mission is to help you become a powerful and effective parent, and to help your child feel loved and to be loving, responsible, and genuinely happy. It's a transformation. If you are truly committed to learning how to parent, I'm fully committed to teach you, and I will bring resources to the table you never thought about. The rewards are spectacular, as we've seen in uncounted thousands of families. There is not a single thing you will ever do that will ring through the ages more powerfully than being a loving and effective parent. You can do this. So let's learn some more. Let's get started. Click the button below. It's free to begin transforming your life as a ridiculously effective parent.